Diplomacy is the best fabric on which we can build any social structure. My guest today is a perfect example of an individual who's aware of the value of a diplomatic approach to life. My guest is the founder of Diplowomen. She's the mediation advisor for with UNWOMEN. She's also the senior policy fellow at the Issam Fares Institute for Public Policy and International Affairs at the American University of Beirut. She is also the lead advisor on their Women, Peace and Security Initiative. Prior to that, she was the International Affairs and Relations Advisor for the former Prime Minister Saad Hariri. Karma Ekmekji, it's great to have you on the show, and welcome to Heya.
It's so great to be with you. Thank you for having me. And a big shout out to all the audience in Michigan and the Midwest and the US. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Karma Ekmekji, you wear so many hats. And I'd like to talk first about your initiative. What is the mission of Diplowomen?
Sure. I started Diplowomen a few years ago because I realized that my friends, my family, people around me who are not necessarily in the field of international affairs or peace and security, to introduce them to the Women, Peace and Security agenda. And I felt that it was too technical for them to understand. And I wanted to find an easy way to explain to them the importance of the role of women in politics and diplomacy and peace and security. So I thought that I wanted to find a catchy name instead of every time saying, women can be mediators, they can be negotiators, they can be special envoys, they can be ambassadors. So I wanted to find a catchy term that everyone can use to slowly understand and get introduced to the Women, Peace and Security agenda. So I came up with Diplowomen. And if you go on Instagram, actually, there's the Diplowomen filter, which is quite self-explanatory, and it explains to you what I mean by Diplowomen. And I was very happy to create this filter on the 20th anniversary of the Women, Peace and Security agenda in 2020 with Instagram to introduce this more and more to everyone around.
Yes. So through you have a Diplowomen podcast, and through this podcast, you conduct interviews with ambassadors, mediators, and facilitators. What are the similar attributes that you see in those successful women that you have interviewed?
Well, to start with, we interview men and women. So we talk about women in peace and security. We talk about women in this field, but we want also men to be talking about women, not just us talking about ourselves. We want, the other half of society to speak about the role of women as well. So this podcast, which is hosted and produced by the Issam Fares Institute with the generous support of UNWOMEN, is a first to market podcast that talks about really the role of Arab women from the region that are serving the region, that are working really hard at a time where our region, the Middle East, is in complete turmoil. And if you look at the history of the Middle East, the past 70 years haven't been so great. And we look around and we say, okay, what was the formula that has led us to here? It was men leading in a certain way, and women being excluded from the high level decision-making positions. So what we're trying to say is that there are women who are able to be partners with men in the high level decision making of our countries, of our nations, of our regional dynamics. And we should give them a platform so that they can talk, so that they can present their own narrative. And you can listen to the podcast. We're on, it's a bilingual podcast, so we do some episodes in English and some in Arabic. We're on Spotify, we're on SoundCloud, we're on Anghami, we're on Apple Podcasts, and we're also on YouTube for those who want to read the subtitles. We're also on YouTube.
That's awesome. I think it is great what you're doing. That sounds like a really amazing
Thank you.
podcast, and definitely I will follow that and watch it for sure.
Thank you.
I want to talk about about women that have prospered throughout the years and have raised the bar in so many parts of the world, and basically. Some of them, they see themselves are less valuable than men due to many factors, for sure. What are the main challenges that women are facing today, and they are holding them back?
You know, there are many barriers. The bottom line is that we live in a patriarchy. We
Mm,
really live in a social structure that has been designed in a way that is not really empowering for women to advance. Now, we're slowly starting to see these things change, with
mm,
a lot of advocacy over the years. And here, we've had great women in the Arab world, and we stand on their shoulders. If they hadn't paved the way for us to move forward,
yes.
we wouldn't have been able to be here speaking with this liberty, if I may say. But still, the road is long, and I feel the main barrier is the way that the patriarchy dictates. This mentality. It's a cultural. We need a cultural paradigm shift. And here, by no means am I saying we need to give up our values or traditions, because this is the argument I always get. Oh, our values and traditions. Nobody's talking about values and traditions. We're just saying that women need to be equal partners in society, in building. We build that where we build our homes. Why can't we build our nations?
Absolutely.
We need exactly. So we need to start thinking in this way. And another thing is that it also comes from within. Arab women need to normalize being leaders, right?
Mhm,
The
mhm.
idea of us leading should be
No.
it should be the rule, not the exception, right? So these are a few things that are keeping women back, but also the whole structure of society is
Mhm.
not conducive for us to advance. So we're slowly starting to work on dismantling these barriers. And when I speak to women from other Arab countries, they tell me, regardless of our geographic distances, regardless of our political differences, regardless of our ethnic differences or our religious differences, our feminist agenda needs to be unified, because we really have the same challenges in our own countries. So the louder our voices, a unified voice, the faster I think we can overcome these challenges.
So, how do you gauge the scale and space for change for women in the region?
Listen, it's hard. I think what we need to be doing is keep our eyes and ears open, because there are always windows of opportunities that we need to capture, right?
Right.
And so, for instance, in Lebanon, we've seen how much women are playing a leading role in speaking about change, about reforms, in all sectors, whether it's energy or it's in the social fabric or the economics of the economic issues. Women are leading. And even in politics, you have new voices coming up, and this idea that women can be leaders in politics is starting slowly and slowly to be
I
normalized.
I think it is, especially when Lebanon lacks all kind of stability at the moment, and on so many levels. But when it comes to women representations, I think it's been difficult for Lebanese women to make that inroads to social or not political sphere, basically. So. Don't you think? I mean, it is going very slowly.
It
The
is.
progress,
It is,
the
and
progress
and
of it.
and personally, this is my personal view, and there are a lot of people I speak with who have different opinions. But as someone who's a practitioner in this field, who has studied different countries and has seen best practice in this field, temporary special measures are a must. What we know in lay terms as the quota. right? We call it the quota, but they're actually technically called temporary special measures. So it's a measure that you take for a certain period of time. It's, a positive measure. It's a positive discrimination where you introduce this idea that a certain percentage of women in parliament or in cabinet need to be of women, also in regional governments, so municipalities and whatnot.
Yes.
And this, slowly starts introducing women into the system. Unfortunately, in Lebanon, this is still a challenge. Political parties refuse to even debate this issue. Recently, we've had many different drafts. So, political parties had a whole range of different draft laws to choose from. Unfortunately, none were picked. And so, these temporary special measures have proven to be effective in Iraq and in other countries, where they actually worked when they were introduced. But for some reason in Lebanon, I guess those who are in power are refusing to give up some of their powers to introduce these measures. I am still hopeful. I'm always hopeful that this is going to eventually pass, because there's no other way. I think more and more voices are going to get louder and louder on this issue. It's really, you asked me how to gauge, right? So it's really how we view progress. If we want to measure progress on a 3-year scale or 3-year term, then we're going to be disappointed. But if we want to measure progress on a 50-year term and be patient and work hard and not give up, then I believe there will be change.
So we should be able to do it. I think it's time for a change and for women to have equal share of power, for sure, in Lebanon, and I think everywhere.
And here I want the Lebanese diaspora, the expat community. Your voices are so important for us. You are away, you are far away. We are in Lebanon, but your voices give us hope. Your voices give us the energy to go on. So please raise your voices also on women representation.
And definitely we are trying our best, to put the message through, for sure. And we always support Lebanon here or anywhere in the world, for sure. I want to ask you about, what else do I want to ask you?
You can ask me whatever.
Ask you whatever, right?
I want to also, if you don't mind.
Gender equality, it's a human right. And what are the biggest barriers for gender equality?
Well, like I said initially, this issue of the patriarchy, that the social structure that we live in, the norms that we have been fed, the social norms that we have been fed with a spoon since we were very young, that this is the role of a man, this is the role of a woman. These are perpetuating the inequality that we live in. I think today, for me, education is key. I think that, for instance, when I talk about these issues to my university students, it's the first time they hear about it. They should not be hearing about these concepts when they're 20 for the first time. They should be hearing it when they're 5 years old on the playground in school, right? So how do we think together of introducing this early on, K to 12, in the curriculums, in the school system, in normalizing this idea that we are the same. I was invited to speak to my at my children's school on International Day of Children's Rights, on the International Day of Children, about children's rights. And one of the rights is in the charter is that all the children are equal, regardless of color or gender or sex or whatnot. So that exists from the young age, but we forget it along the way. So really, it's something inherent. It's something we are born with, and we should, from a very young age, tell them that we are all the same. We are all equal. So definitely, education is very important.
I think education, as you said, it's very important. And I think it starts from home and then school and then from there, for sure. In recent years, international attention has turned to promotion of women as peace mediators. And why do we need more women mediators to be included in peace processes? And how significant and essential their roles, in negotiations and the outcome of the negotiations?
Absolutely. Listen, for the past 25 years, all the research that has been done has proven, this is empirical evidence. It's proven that when women are more involved in peace processes, when women are involved in negotiations, in mediation, then the results of that peace are more just. The peace is more sustainable, so it's longer. The duration of the peace is longer, and it's more it's positive peace. And here I want to invite you all to look at the work that UNWOMEN has been doing in Lebanon, specifically on a certain campaign that was conducted back in November. It was called The Missing Peace. And peace was written in PEACE, so the missing peace. And it was this campaign about how, if you look at all the different, milestones Lebanon went through over the past 40 years, whether it was the Ta'if Agreement, the Doha Agreement, all the dialogue sessions held in the presidential palace, in parliament and whatnot, women were never at the table, never. And so Lebanon has kept on relapsing into conflict. If you look at the 40 years, the amount of peace we've had are, 4 or 5 years of peace, and then we relapse into some sort of crisis or some sort of conflict. And all the research has shown that when women are involved in the peace negotiations or in the peace building of a nation, the relapse into conflict is much less. So why don't we try this in Lebanon? And here, this campaign was on Twitter. It was on the Nahar. It was we worked together with different media outlets, whereby for instance, the Nahar cover page, the An-Nahar newspaper cover page, on that day, half the letters of the articles were missing. So someone would buy the newspaper, they would read it. It makes no sense. It makes no sense, the first page. And then you turn the page and it says, half the letters are missing, nothing makes sense. When half of society is missing, nothing makes sense.
So this is interesting.
It was very interesting. And so that was the way we tried to get the message across. And so this is one example of the work of the awareness raising that UNWOMEN is doing.
I love the way that it was portrayed, for sure.
Yeah, I will send out some links. I'll post them again on my social media so that our new listeners or our listeners can
definitely
check it out.
We would love that for sure.
Sure, I will share them with you.
So what do women bring to the table men cannot?
Listen, I'm not the type of a person who wants to say, men, what they're doing doesn't matter, or it's not, women are better, or we are better or not. I believe in building alliances. I believe in equal partnerships. And here I want to say, it's not about what women bring extra. I don't like it when they say, what's the added value? What added value? There is no value to start with if women are not at the table, because half the society is not there. And this is only the normative approach to what I'm saying, the numerical approach to what I'm saying. But it's much deeper than that. Today you have the impact that a small group of number of men are doing is impacting all of society. So I want to ask them, do they still want to take all the responsibility of all this mess? Maybe they can share the responsibility a little bit and try to see if the results are different, so that we can stop blaming them for all the mess. So I think it's good for them also to start having women.
I think if they think about it that way, they would.
Right?
That's so funny. I like that. And with that being said, we're going to take a little break and we'll come back with Karma Ekmekji. I am back with Karma Ekmekji. Hello, Karma, again.
Hello.
Hello again. We are going to talk about your career, how you started. And I want, your career has included many positions as a diplomat, as a mediator, as a leader, as a coordinator. And you were named one of the top 99 foreign policy leaders under the age of 33. So
when I was under 33, I'm not under 33 anymore.
Not anymore, right?
That was a while back.
Oh my God, you're you're still so young, believe me. So, what does this success mean to you? And did you envision that you would be where you at today, a woman of such impact?
Well, I mean, I'm very humbled that you say that. I think there's so much more to be done. I have been lucky to have incredible mentors and people who I could look up to, who would guide me, who would navigate me into the right direction. And honestly, I feel like uh, I I believe in hard work. I don't
Mhm,
want to say it's all luck. A lot of it was, yes, the stars were aligned, and
mhm.
I was fortunate to have opportunities presented to me at certain times that, of course, I worked hard for, but was able to attain. But I'm someone who's a big believer in hard work. I really believe that hard work pays off, and sometimes I look now at the new generation, and I worry that they think that hard work is not necessarily the right way, or we need to take a lot of time off or relax, or we need 3-day work weeks and whatnot. I
Yes.
respect all of that, but I'm a firm believer of very hard work, and that only hard work pays off. And I hope that I'll have more years to be able to work hard and to be able to, really help other women advance. Because I always, have this. I always say that if there's this African proverb that says that if you want to go fast, you can go alone, but
Mhm.
if you want to go far, we have to go together. And so I
Yes.
don't want to go fast. I want to go far, and I want us all to go together. So that's my aim.
I believe it's very important to have a team with you for sure. It's not only one person that can do so much for sure. And I believe mentors play a key role in, advancing and guiding and supporting women. And especially if they're taking that route of diplomacy and that kind of work that you do for sure. What is your advice for women today who are considering careers in diplomacy?
Well, I just want to say that when I say diplomacy, it's in the broader sense, right? So
Mm,
it's not only diplomacy in the sense, you go into a foreign ministry of the
mm,
country that you
yes,
live in and
yes.
become an ambassador eventually. For me, it's much broader. And this is why I created Diplowomen, this initiative, so that I can create more awareness around the so many different roles that women can play in
Mm,
order to bring peace to their societies and communities. And so, for me, I think the most important factor is passion,
mhm,
and I think if someone is driven and believes in this, because this is, and I always give this example. So if someone has heard me in an interview before, they've probably
yes,
heard this example, but I always repeat it because it's so important for me to drive this message.
yes.
Being in this field is not like owning a business where I can go home at night, I open my Excel sheet and I say, oh, today I lost $400, or oh, today I made $1,000. The impact of the work we do, sometimes we don't feel in our lifetime. Maybe my children will feel the impact of the work
Mhm,
I'm doing,
mhm.
and so it becomes
It's a long
frustrating at
term. It's
times.
a long
it's
term
it's medium to
process.
long term, and it's frustrating at times. At times you feel like, oh, is it worth it? You need to self motivate yourself. You want to believe in the long term. This is why I said passion is very important, and
Mhm,
patience. So for
mhm.
me, the two pillars are the two P's, like passion and patience. If you want to be in this field, you have to be in it for the long term. If you're looking for quick rewards, whether financial or any other sort of rewards, it's not your place, because it really, really requires nafas tawil, like we say in Arabic. You have to have a very long breath to be able to do this. But I think that more and more women are realizing that they can make this their mission, and they need to make this their mission in order to bring peace to their communities and to their countries.
I think the journey it's very rewarding.
It is rewarding, but again, there's a lot of frustration, like anything, right? Like any sector or any business, there's a lot of frustration, but extra frustration in this field. So one has to really I always say this every month. I make a first of a month post, and I always drive the same message home. Keep an open mind and keep an open heart. Embrace everything, and learn. The journey is about learning. So we need to be on this
For sure.
journey and open to learning.
So, in addition to wearing so many hats, you are a mother of two children. Of two children, is there a way to maintain a healthy balance?
Yeah, so I'm a mother of two boys. So to start with, I'm
Mhm.
trying to apply everything I preach on them. So trying to raise
Good. That's a good
boys who
thing.
believe in equality, and of course I could not be doing that without a partner who believes, my husband, who is believes in equality, who believes in empowering me to always go forward. And I'm so
Mhm.
very lucky to have a partner who believes in that. So listen, I mean, this is the honest version. I manage because I have a partner who does the equal amount of parenting that I do. I mean, I'm not the one who does everything with the children. Of course, I still
Okay.
have to manage their birthday gifts for their birthdays, parties, and their play dates and all that. But for instance, my husband takes care of their homeworks. He takes care of reading at night. He's always very present, and I'm very lucky to have someone who is very present as a parent, because it allows me to travel. I travel. Before COVID, I mean, I was living on a plane practically, right? So
So your
it,
job requires a lot of
exactly,
traveling. Yes.
exactly. So it had, I'm very lucky. So the balance really came also with the choice of the partner. But listen, it's not easy. I mean, life, especially now during COVID times, as women, we
Yes.
are paying a high price of work without pay. I mean, I had the children 2 years almost at home with
Yeah.
online schooling. I mean,
Not easy.
both
Mm-mm.
my husband and I were losing our minds. It was
Yes,
very, very
but
difficult.
but you're lucky to have a supportive husband. I
Yes.
mean, I don't hear that many often, but it's good when you have one. Just keep that man.
Yes, definitely. I'm holding on. I'm telling you, I'm holding on tight.
Well done, Ty. Okay, so you inspire many women out there by your transparency, for sure, and by your cause, to help women through your work. So, how do you get your inspiration?
Listen, I always told myself from the first minute, what you see is what you get. I am someone who will always be truthful, whether on social media or outside social media. I'm always, what you see is really
I can see
what you
that.
what you get. And I've been lucky to be surrounded by women who also, lifted me up, by an amazing mother who has always, pushed me forward. I'm an only child. I don't have siblings.
Wow.
So as a woman to leave home at 20 and move to the US, a lot of people were like, "What are you doing? You have one daughter, sending her all the way to America." But I think, that has always inspired me. And like Gibran says, your children are not your children. They're the children of the world. So we have to give our children wings. And for me, I think what inspires me is that thinking. It's the thinking that, uh, I have been lucky to surround myself by women, because I'm not surrounded by men and women who necessarily always empower me,
Mhm.
but I choose to surround myself by those who inspire me.
This is interesting.
And
Yes.
I think that this is what keeps me going.
Nice. I like that. And what is your message to all the women who are watching us today?
And the men, and the men. I'm sure you have some men in your audience. So my
Yes,
message, my
I do.
message is
I believe I
my,
do.
my message is
For
you have
everyone
a
or
voice
for women?
for everyone, but particularly for women, because this is here, right? So particularly for women, you have a voice, use it. Please raise your voice. Others raise their voices. This is why we were able to achieve small wins. If we all raise our voices against, discrimination, against inequality, I believe that we will come to a point where we will be able to have equal rights, equal opportunities. And like I said, normalize being a leader. You can, you should be, you are in many ways, in your house, in your community. Let's expand that on a national level, on a transboundary level, and have more women's voices talking about peace and talking about just, empowering each other.
That's great. I am very pleased today to have you on my show. I want to wish you the best of luck. Keep doing
Thank
what
you,
you're
Hanan.
doing. You are amazing.
Thank you,
And I
Hanan.
want to thank you again. And that was Karma Ekmekji, the founder of Diplowomen. And you have to check her podcast out. It's very interesting with all the guests that you have for sure. And I want to thank the viewers for watching and have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.